Yeah, he is. That's why he's so difficult. Anyway,
Okay.
we're talking about vibration today and frequency and raising our frequency. So for your shavasana, we're going to do kind of a long sound bath with the sound bowls and get into that vibrational frequency. And we're going to start, I think we'll start seated. And we're going to use a, is he trying to undo it? It's like, maybe I can do this. We're going to use a mudra, and it's called prana mudra, because when we're looking at raising our frequency or raising our vibration, we're working with our prana. So it's taking your ring finger and your little finger to your thumb and extending index and middle finger out. So that's our prana mudra. So we're going to start just seated, palms up with your prana mudra, and close your eyes. And we're all going to watch Beecher dig us into a hole. So close your eyes and holding your mudra, resting them on your thighs or your knees, just begin to breathe into the belly and connect with your breath here. So starting really simple, just connection with breath. And as you begin to connect with your breath, begin to connect with that deep belly breath. And begin to deepen your breath, drawing the air, the prana, deep down into your belly. And as you do this, begin to connect with the frequency, the vibration of the earth beneath you. And if you can also begin to connect with your ujjayi breath here at the same time, and begin to connect with that, creating that small restriction in the back of the throat to slow the breath down as you slowly inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose, drawing air all the way down into the belly. So this prana mudra helps to improve the flow of the vital forces in the body and helps us to begin to direct our prana that we build through our practice. And as you connect with this belly breath and hopefully your ujjayi breath beginning to come into your practice, begin to let go of your day. Let go of everything leading up to this point in your day. And then take a moment to set your intention. Using our prana, our energy, our life force, as we build it through our practice to bring our intention into this practice as well. Take one more round of breath here like you are. And then you can open your eyes. And before you let go of your mudra, we are going to do this mudra throughout our practice a little bit later. So just remember this prana mudra of ring and index or ring and little finger touching your thumb with index and middle finger extended. And then release that. Make your way onto hands and knees for cat-cow. And starting with your inhale, drawing the heart forward, lifting your gaze slightly, letting the belly drop a little bit, but keeping a bit of engagement. And then as you exhale, curl it in, push the earth away from you. Moving between these two for a few more rounds of breath. Just using this to begin to connect breath with movements. An awareness to that movement of the breath through the nasal cavity. If you're using ujjayi, you'll feel it through the floor of the nasal cavity. In through your heart center and all the way down to your belly. And then follow the breath all the way back up, releasing what you no longer need to hold on to. So there is space for more prana, more life force. As you come into your next inhale into cow pose, send the hips back into child's pose as you exhale. And you can bend at the elbows and bring your palms together if you wish. Or you can keep your hands down on the floor, whatever works for your shoulders, whatever feels best for you at this point in our class. And breathing a few breaths into wherever you have the tight spots. It could be your hips, it could be your shoulders, it could be your back body, it could even be your knees. Send your energy, your breath, wherever that is for you. And then as you prepare for your next inhale, use your next inhale to rise up onto all fours again into cow pose and curl your toes under and send the hips up and back into downward facing dog on your exhale. So take a few breaths to walk your dog out as you connect hands to the earth, especially your index finger and your thumb, pressing the knuckles down in that finger, all of the 10 fingers, but particularly the inner thumb and index finger. And bending one knee, bending the other knee, finding all those tight spots. Use your breath to send the energy there, to send spaciousness through your breath, to begin to release whatever is tight and holding, whatever is restricted, wherever energy is stuck. Take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, step, walk, or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, let the heart float up. You can bring your hands to your shins as you lengthen from sit bones to crown. Exhale, draw the belly in as you bow down towards the earth, bending your knees as much as you need to. And then we're going to circle the arms wide, press into the earth, rise up, look up. Draw your palms together and into your heart center, coming into mountain pose. Relax your hands down. Bring your feet wide. We did this in one of our classes, and I think it was back when I was doing recordings, not live classes. I can't even remember now. But it's been a while. So we're going to do this action of gathering and lifting energy up. So thinking about that frequency of the earth, we're going to have the feet wide and maybe your toes out just a little bit. And then bend your knees and let yourself sink. Circle your arms, bring your hands together, intertwine your fingers, and draw it up like you're drawing energy up. And then bring your thumbs to your temples, lift your gaze, and press the palms up to the sky, inviting a little back bend. And we're just going to keep repeating this action. So we bend our knees, we fold, we gather, intertwine the fingers, begin to draw it up to your heart, thumbs to the temples. Lift the gaze, press the palms up, and do it again. Intertwine, gather, draw it up. Thumbs to the temples, draw the gaze up, press the palms up. Let's do this a few more times. Keep moving. So it's like symbolic of gathering that earth energy and lifting your gaze and reaching up to the sky energetically. But we're really moving all parts of our body in this little sequence here as well. The neck and the shoulders and the back and the knees and the thighs. And really connecting with our breath as we're doing this and moving our energy and gathering. raising it up, lifting it up. Let's do 2 more like that. And let it feel really nourishing to you as you gather. And raise it up. And last one. And this time, as we bend our knees, we're going to bend our knees as far as we can. You might use a block. We're coming into malasana. You can sit on stack blocks or 1 block, whatever height you need, or no blocks. But as you come into malasana, let's turn our palms up and take that same mudra. Press your knees into your arms, palms facing up, reaching your arms forward. Oh, come on. And lifting your heart at the same time. So lifting your gaze, lifting your heart, even though you're reaching forward and your seat is sinking down. So we're kind of going in all directions here. Let's take 3 deep ujjayi breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, eyes closed or open. 1 more round of breath. And then on your next exhale, release your hands down, lift the hips up. Walk your feet in just a little bit. And then inhale, lift your heart, lengthen, hands to the shins or fingertips to your mat. And exhale to bow. Step the right foot to the back of your mat. Coming into a lunge. So if you've got 2 blocks and you're tight in your hips or your knees, use your blocks. I only have 1 here, but pretend I have 2. You can have your blocks like this to support you. So you can have 1 in each hand there, Carolyn. Yeah. And some of you might just have fingertips on your mat. So take 1 more breath here. And then as we exhale, we're going to drop that back knee. Hands to your front knee. And just lift your heart here. Pause here for a moment. Now you might stay right here or raise that right arm up to the sky and lengthen up. So you begin to feel a little more opening through that right hip flexor and all the way up that arm. You can keep your left hand on that knee or bring it above your head to grab your other arm to support. And then inhale, maybe invite a little back bend. Maybe you don't, but maybe you do. Take 1 more breath here. And then we exhale, release both hands down, lift the back knee, and step back into downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank pose. Exhale, we're going to lower all the way down to our belly. So some of you might move through chaturanga, some of you are going to drop your knees and lower knees, chin, chest, but we're all going to meet on the belly regardless of how you get there. And then we inhale, roll up into cobra, shoulders away from your ears. I feel like I'm in the middle of a wasp nest here. He just hit me in the head. Exhale, come on down. I'm telling you, yoga west of the 5th. And then bring your hands wide for our next cobra. Up on your fingertips, knees. Elbows are bent. Inhale, roll it up. And exhale, bring it down. We're going to do 1 more cobra. Bring your hands alongside your hips, palms facing down, fingertips, same fingertips that you just had. So up on your fingertips. Reaching back, inhale, rise up into your cobra. Extend through your legs, reaching the toes back. Exhale, come down. Hands under your shoulders. Press up and back, child's pose. Breathe into the back body. Release any tension in your back. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, downward facing dog.
On your next inhale, float your right leg to the sky in three-legged dog. And then as you exhale, bend the knee, draw the knee to the nose and step that foot up between your hands. Use your right hand to help it get up there. And you can use your blocks here again. Hands can be on your two blocks. So we're in our lunge on our second side. So right foot should be forward. Extend your heart forward as you reach your heel back. And then exhale, drop your back knee. Option to bring both hands to your front knee, and option to stay here. We're all going to stay here for a few breaths, but you can keep your hands here through the whole progression. Next option is reach your left hand up to bring a little more opening into that left side body, left hip flexor. You can keep the right hand where it is, or reach the right hand up, bend at the elbow, and grab your opposite arm. With this extra support here, you might begin to invite a little back bend as you lift the heart. Staying connected to your ujjayi breath here. One more round. And then we slowly exhale, both hands come down. Lifting the back knee. And then we step forward into our forward fold. So left foot meets right. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees. Circle wide. Rise high. Look up to the sky. And draw into your heart center. And release. So let's repeat that. Inhaling, reaching up to the sky. And the exhale, we bow to the earth. The inhale lifts the heart, lengthens the spine, and this time we step left foot to the back of the mat. He's more bothered by the wasp than I am, I think. Take one more inhale, lengthen, and as you exhale, drop the back knee. Same sequence as before. Hands can be on the front knee, and we can stay here. Or reach the left arm up to the sky. You can stay here. Or reach right arm up to bend and support the head and the arm. Maybe inviting a back bend as we lift the heart, lift the gaze. Take one more breath. And then we release. Everything comes down. Lift the back knee, step back, down dog. You guys have extra entertainment today. Inhale, come forward to plank pose. Exhale, lower however you choose to. And we're all going to meet on our belly again, even if you're pausing in chaturanga. So the first cobra, we all just rise up in our regular cobra. Second one, we come down, arms out to the side. Inhale, roll it up. Exhale, come down. Now we bring the hands still on our fingertips, but alongside our thighs or our hips. This time extend through your feet so much that maybe your feet float up. As you inhale and rise up, keep extending your legs back, and maybe your hands float up in Salabhasana. Take one more breath here in Salabhasana. And exhale, release down. Hands under your shoulders, press up and back, child's pose. So your option in your child's pose is hands on the mat, hands together and bending at the elbows, or bringing that prana mudra with palms facing up into your child's pose. This begins to open the shoulders because we have to work really hard to turn our palms up in this position, in this mudra. Use your next inhale to come up into table and your exhale into downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths in your downward facing dog. And at any point when we're moving through our class today, If we're in down dog and you really need to take child's pose, even if I'm not inviting you to take child's pose, please feel free to do so. It's always optional. Take one more breath in your downward facing dog. And then your next inhale, the left leg floats up to the sky, three-legged dog. The exhale, knee draws to nose and foot steps up between your hands. Use your left hand to help it get up there if you need to. Coming into our lunge again. We drop the back knee. Both hands come to the front knee. Option to reach right hand to the sky and lengthen that right side all the way from the knee, actually all the way from the toes up to your fingertips. Option to bring left hand up overhead, bending at the elbow. Inviting that back bend as you support your head with that arm. One more breath. And we exhale. The hands come down, lift the back knee, step forward. Inhaling to lift the heart and lengthen the spine. Exhale, we bow to the earth. Press into the earth, rise up, circle wide, rise high, and draw into your heart center. And release the hands. Just take a moment or two in our mountain pose. Finding your footing, finding your breath, staying connected to Ujjayi breath. And just notice anything you feel moving around in your body as we've just begun our class. Some of that stuck energy might begin to flow. And now before we move on with some of our standing poses, we're going to come into a balance pose of tree pose. So I find it especially nice when we're outdoors to gaze, find a spot to gaze at the trees, because that really helps feel grounded as you move into your tree pose. We're going to spread the toes wide on that left foot first. And we're going to do 3 progressions, even if you can go straight to your thigh. Sometimes when we're used to doing our thigh, being at the ankle can be really difficult. So start with your right knee bent. Externally rotate that leg and bring the foot just to your ankle. And just with your foot there, begin to lift your heart. Lift through that standing leg hip, so we're not sinking into the hip, but we're lifting up as you gaze out to those trees. Now you might choose to stay right here and find your hand mudra, or you might slide it up to your shin. You might choose to stay here, or you might slide it all the way up to your thigh. And then you might choose to go back down again. So once you find your gaze, your drishti, you found the spot for your foot, you're staying lifted through that standing leg hip, and the heart is lifted. You can grow your tree, and if it's not too much to think about, you might come into that prana mudra, with ring and little finger touching your thumb, middle and index finger reaching up to the sky, inviting that prana, that vital life force, into your body. Heart keeps lifted as the breath pours in. And if you fall out of it, that's okay. We just come back into it and keep breathing. 2 more breaths here. One more breath. And then slowly and gracefully we make our way back into mountain pose, releasing that foot down when you're ready. And just take a moment with both feet grounded. Some beautiful grounded trees in here today. Let's spread the right toes nice and wide. And let's go through that same progression. You can have hands at your hips, bending the left knee, externally rotating that leg, foot to the ankle, and then just bring your awareness to lifting up that hip, lifting up the heart, keeping your gaze slightly lifted and focused on something in the distance.
And then decide if you're going to bring that foot to your calf, or maybe you might decide to slide it up to your thigh. And maybe you really need that pressure of both hands at the heart center to keep your balance at center. Or maybe you're going to raise your hands up and come into prana mudra again on this side. You get to choose and slowly progress. Keep your breath even and steady and your eyes soft. So we find ease in the effort of your pose. 3 more breaths, steady and even ujjayi breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And balance isn't something that is static, it's something that we're constantly negotiating. And that's okay. And then slowly begin to make your progression back into your mountain pose. And grounding both feet down once again. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale with both feet on the earth. And then we're going to move through some of our standing poses. So we're going to start with stepping our left foot back. So take an inhale, reach up to the sky, and as we exhale, sit down in chair pose. And then we're going to bring weight into the right foot and step the left foot back. Extend your arms. We're coming into warrior 2. And then turn your palms up. Come back to our prana mudra. And we're simply going to switch from side to side. So we're going to take an inhale and extend. And then as we exhale, draw the arms together, pivot your feet, and extend to warrior 2 facing the other direction. So we're just going to go back and forth a few times. Exhale, cross your arms, pivot your feet, extend to the other direction. So just let this be flowing like your breath. And your breath very intentional, moving with your breath from side to side with your own breath. It doesn't have to match my breath, but we just keep moving. And begin to find some ease in this effort of your warrior pose as we move from side to side. The inhale, we really extend. The exhale, we cross the arms, pivot the feet. Let's do one more round and end facing the front. And then we'll pause in our warrior 2, palms facing up. Prana mudra, extending index and middle fingers. And then your next inhale, we'll move into peaceful warrior. And exhale, let's come into side angle, forearm to your front knee and extend overhead. We're going to pause here for a moment and consider rolling your left side ribs and your gaze up to the sky. Every time you exhale, think about your belly drawing in and twisting up towards the sky. On your next inhale, we're going to move into peaceful warrior. So inhale up. Coming back into side angle, it's possible you might come into the same position, or you might bring that hand to your ankle, to your foot, to the mat, to a block. Your choice. And really extend through that whole left side of the body. Inhale, come up. Straighten both legs, turn your toes to the long side of your mat. Intertwine your hands behind your back. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your gaze, send your knuckles down towards the earth.
And then exhale, fold forward. If intertwining your fingers isn't appropriate for your shoulders, just bring your hands to your hips and fold forward. And let your hands slide down your thighs. Every inhale, every inhale, think about lengthening your spine so that your head moves closer towards the earth. And every exhale, think about pressing your feet down a little stronger into the earth, into that support. Take one more breath here. And then slowly and gracefully, if your hands are up towards the sky, bring your hands to your sacrum. Release your mudra, your grip. Let your hands come down to your mat or your blocks and walk your hands forward as though you were in downward facing dog, but up on your fingertips. So we're getting really long through our side body. We send our sit bones out behind us and walk our fingers as far as they can walk. Let your head rest between your biceps. And find length and spaciousness. And if you can stay up on your fingertips rather than grounding your hands down to the earth, do so. And if you need to ground down, that's okay. But we'll invite you to come up on fingertips. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to walk our hands back. Bring your hands to your hips. Press strongly into both feet. And as you inhale, coming up with a nice strong flat back, come all the way up. That's lots of work on the hamstrings. Beautiful. Once you come up, just release your hands. Come back into your prana mudra, into 5-point star. Extend your arms straight up diagonally. And breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. You might have your gaze slightly lifted above the horizon. Feel prana flowing through your body, into the heart center, and then out through the arms and legs. Take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, pivot your right toes to the front of your mat, bend your front knee, hands come down. Let's step back into downward facing dog. So you have an option here to stay in your down dog, to take child's pose if you need a little breather, or we're going to flow. So if you choose to flow, coming forward to plank on an inhale. And this time as you lower, you can lower and choose your back bend. So you might do chaturanga and up dog, you might do all the way down and cobra, or one of the cobra variations that we've done. And then we'll all meet back in downward facing dog. And you might choose child's pose along the way and take a few breaths in child's pose and then meet us in down dog. Always options. And always choose the one that's best for you. If you're in child's pose, you can meet us in down dog for one breath together. Taking one deep inhale as one, and then we step, walk, or float to the top of our mat. Inhaling to lengthen the spine and lift the heart. Exhale, we bow. Inhale, we press into the earth and we rise up. Look up and draw into your heart center. Take a moment's pause in your mountain pose. Regrounding, finding your breath, noticing what's going on. Sensations in the body, what's happening with your energy, what's happening with your breath. And then let's do that same little sequence on the other side. So inhale, reaching to the sky. And as we exhale, sit down in chair pose. Stay for an inhale, and then as you exhale, stepping the right foot out behind you and coming into our warrior two. So we're going to do the back and forth like we did on the first side, taking your prana mudra with palms facing up, which brings a little different action into the shoulders. So take an inhale, extend. Exhale, pivot the feet, cross the arms. Inhale, extend, other side. So just moving from side to side. We're going to do this a few times before we stop and stay. Finding your breath, finding that flow. The stickier your mat is, the harder this becomes. Let's do one more and we'll end so that you're facing, we'll stop, I should say, when you're facing the front again. And then we'll pause here. So take one full round of inhale and exhale, and then we'll move into peaceful warrior. So inhaling, front arm reaches up, back arm comes to the thigh. Exhale, we come into side angle. And you can do the first one or both with your forearm to the knee. Rotate those right ribs up to the sky. Maybe you look up and really lengthen through that right side body. Let's move into peaceful warrior again on your next inhale. Front knee stays bent. And you might come same position with forearm to the knee, or you might slide your hand down to your foot or your shin or your mat or your block. And again, rotate those right ribs up to the sky as you really lengthen. Feel the energy moving through that right side body. From the outside edge of your foot all the way to your fingertips. One more breath here. And we're going to rise into our peaceful warrior. And then pivot the toes, straighten both legs, face the long side of your mat. And let's come into our 5-point star once again and just pause here before we go into our forward fold. Imagine the prana, the life force, pouring into your heart center with each inhale and each exhale, moving out through both arms, both legs, and out the top of your head, and filling your entire body with this energy and this life force, this higher vibration, this frequency. 2 more breaths here. It seems like a simple pose, but it starts to feel hard keeping your arms up there. Take 1 more breath. And then release your hands to your hips, thumbs towards your spine, fingers wrapping around your hips, elbows back, shoulders open. Inhale, lift the heart, invite the back bend. The exhale, slide your hands down, your legs fold forward. Top of the head, moving towards the earth, tiny micro bend in your knees so you're not hyperextending. Nice big breaths here, letting the spine lengthen. Some of you might wrap your fingers around your big toe. Some of you might keep hands on your shin, your calves, or your ankles. And then keeping your hands wherever they've landed on your body, inhale, lift your heart and lengthen your spine. And exhale, fold again. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And it might just be a few inches. Exhale, fold in, draw the belly in as you fold. 1 last time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And then release your hands. Stay lifted and long. Bring your hands Let's bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, rise all the way up. Take a moment's pause here. And then turn your left toes to the top of your mat. Bend your knee. Hands come down. Step it back into downward facing dog. Again, we have the option. You can take child's pose. You can stay in down dog. You can flow and choose your back bend and how you want to lower. Because we're all going to meet in the same place regardless of what you do for these few breaths until we do. So we're going to take 3 breaths wherever you've chosen to have your resting pose. Staying connected to your ujjayi even in your resting pose. And then if you're in down dog, I'm going to invite you to drop down to your knees. And if you're in child's pose, I'm going to invite you up onto your knees. And just look to the front of the room for a moment. Grab one of your blocks. We're going to do dolphin, but we're going to do it a little bit differently, and it comes into the shoulders a little bit differently. So we're going to take our prana mudra that we've been doing this whole time, and the block is going to be between our wrists with our palms facing up. And bringing your elbows down to the mat. And then toes curled under. We're simply going to lift the hips up into dolphin. Now I know there's a few people here with shoulder issues. Please lift up carefully. If palms turning up brings too much sensation into your shoulders, flip your palms down or intertwine your fingers into fists, so that you get the strengthening without causing any strain on your shoulders that you already have an injury in. So press into the elbows. Press the mat away from you. Lift up through the shoulders. You might need your knees a little bit bent here. Keep breathing. And then walk your feet out, come into dolphin plank. Now dolphin plank might have your knees down. That's still dolphin plank. And maybe you're alternating between dropping your knees, lifting them up, dropping your knees, lifting them up, because you're working with your strength, or one knee up, one knee down. You're still working with your strength, building strength. Take one last breath. And then I'm going to give you an option. You either walk your feet back up into dolphin or drop down into child's pose. Michelle, are you a Pincha Marinasana girl? Basically, you would go into an inversion right where you are.
With my head off the ground?
Yep. No? Okay, then we're not doing that. I know you do a lot of funky things, so I just don't know if you do that or not. Yeah, that one. Yeah, see, I knew you could do that. So if anybody wants to play, you can do what Michelle's doing, but just put one leg up and then the other leg up, which brings a totally different feeling to the pose. I don't do that without a wall behind me. She's braver than me. She's better at inversions. No. You were almost doing it. It's a very hard pose. I know, right? Let's all sit here and watch Michelle for a while. You've almost got it. If you were doing this, yeah, there you go. Ooh, and there she does a somersault. Awesome. All right, let's all come into child's pose if you're not already there. And then we're going to come onto our back. We're going to move into bridge pose. And I'm going to ask you to take your block with you, because block really helps with bridge, just so that you're not splaying your knees really wide. Are we all sweating from watching Michelle? We're all like, oh, that was hard, Michelle. I'm not good at inversion, so I love it when there's somebody in class that is, because I can say, Do it. Show everybody what I'm talking about. So have your block between your legs and do it the skinny way, not the wide way, because I think that's too wide for bridge. And then we're going to just lie down on your back with knees bent. And just take a couple breaths here before you move into your bridge pose. Just holding onto your block. Your hips are grounded. Letting your lower back sink. Letting your pelvis sink. Just nice even breath, just like as though we're in mountain pose and just checking in. You can actually bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly and just take a few breaths here before we move into bridge. Let's do one more round of breath here, just checking in, feeling the earth beneath you, feeling your breath. And then you can release your hands alongside you, and I'll invite you to play with the prana mudra again, if you wish, with palms facing up, hands right beside your hips. And Carolyn, bring your heels a little closer to your sit bones. There you go, perfect. So, another option you can try playing with is rising up on your toes and lifting up from bridge pose on your toes. Or you can do it the traditional way with your heels down. But just try that and see what that feels like. And if it feels really foreign, you can bring your heels down. But just play with your breath here. And that mudra, and imagine the prana flowing into your body. Take one more breath and use your next exhale to slowly release down to the earth out of your bridge pose. We're going to do one more, so just pause with your block between your thighs here. And when you're ready, you can do the same variation, or you can go into the more traditional version that we normally do, if that one didn't feel great for you. And those of you who can do upward facing wheel or Urdhva Dhanurasana, if you want to do that for your second bridge, you can. Michelle, do you know which one that is? Yeah, that one. And you can choose whichever you want to do. And take one more breath. And slowly release down on your exhale. Once you come down, you can bring your hand to your heart and your belly once again. And just check in with your breath. Slow inhales, slow exhales. And then we're going to move into half happy baby. So keep your knees bent and simply draw your right knee in. And you can keep that left leg bent for now. And then grab your foot as though you were moving into happy baby. So if you're not sure of happy baby, your right hand is going to grasp the sole of your right foot and bend the knee. So it's like you're pressing your hand into your foot, like you're trying to draw your knee to the floor. So keep that pressure on the foot. The foot's parallel to the ceiling, but you're pulling the foot back and in essence pulling the knee towards the floor. So you can stay with that left knee bent, Or straighten it straight out, hover it in the air, and decide if lowering it down to the mat is appropriate for you today. Because it brings a little more sensation into the pose when you do that. If you start playing with that and it feels like, oh, that's way too much, just bend the knee and bring the sole of the foot back to the mat. Stay with your breath here. We've got 3 more rounds of breath wherever you're at. One last round of breath. And then slowly bend that straight leg, bring the sole of the foot down and release your happy baby leg. Soles of both feet are down. And just pause here. And then when you're ready, we're going to move to your second side. So drawing that left leg in, bending that left knee, drawing it in. And you can keep that right knee bent with the sole of the foot on the ground for now. And then grab the sole of your foot, or your ankle, or your shin, whatever's available to you. And with the foot parallel to the ceiling, you begin to draw the foot towards the floor, draw the knee towards the floor. Notice your sensations, and then decide if you want to play with straightening that right leg and hovering it, or slowly lowering it towards the mat. And if you choose the variation of lowering it all the way to the mat, imagine, I always say this, an elephant standing on that thigh. So that thigh is really pressing down towards earth on that straight leg. And I'm sure there's no one in here that's going to tell me they're not feeling any sensation at all. Maybe Michelle, I don't know. This pose feels great to me. I like to do this pose almost every day because it seems to get into all those tight spots that I have in all aspects of my hip. So hopefully you're feeling the same thing. Releasing all that stuck energy so that your prana can flow through the body. 2 more breaths here. And just know that if, each side is different, and if whatever variation you've taken is too much, you can always move back to the first variation. And then let's all bend that right leg, bring the sole of the foot to the mat, and release your left. Now if anybody wants to do full happy baby, you can go ahead and do that. And if you don't feel like doing full happy baby, you might just want to windshield washer your knees from side to side and just release, letting your knees drop on an exhale with your arms wide. Because we're moving into our final little movements here before we go into our sound meditation, our sound bath, savasana. So take whatever feels good for you. And I know after what we were just doing, I like those little twists of letting the knees drop side to side with your arms wide and the heart open wide. Actually, let's just all do that. Spread your wings, palm facing up. You can take prana mudra again if you wish, or just palms facing up. Your feet can be wide on your mat as you drop knees from side to side, or they can be closer together. Choose whatever feels best for you, and maybe you experiment a little bit and see what your body really wants today. And maybe what you really want is to let the knees drop and stay on one side for a little bit and really breathe into that and really feel into the sensation. And some of you might feel like movement is what really your body is asking for right now. So if you've chosen to drop to one side and haven't done the other side, go ahead and switch sides.
Taking a few breaths here. And you've got 3 more breaths to do whatever you need to do before you get into your shavasana. And if that means those 3 breaths are putting on socks and sweaters or blankets, let that be what you're doing. So as you find your way into your shavasana, just take a moment to feel into that solid surface beneath you. Feel into that vibration, that frequency of the earth plane that supports you, that nourishes you and provides all the food that keeps you alive. Feel into the heaviness of your bones, that earth element within your body. Let the bones of your legs, the bones of your arms, the bones of the skull sink like river rock in the soft ground of the base of the river. And then bring your awareness to your breath and that flow of your breath. Think about the flow of all the fluids within your body. The blood, your lymphatic fluids, the endocrine system, moving throughout every cell like the rivers within. Let the breath pour into your heart center. The movement of that air element. Allowing the prana to ride on the breath and nourish every cell in your body. Just let your body rest, allowing yourself to come in tune with the frequencies of your sound bath. Very slowly begin to deepen your breathing as you begin to bring awareness back into your body. And as your breathing begins to deepen, allow there to begin to be some movement in your fingers and your toes. And eventually rolling to your side, coming into fetal position. And pausing there for a few breaths, allowing your body to transition. When you feel ready, with eyes closed or softly focused, press yourself up into a seat. You might sit on your meditation cushion or a block. And then just take a moment with eyes closed. Bring your hands back into prana mudra. Taking a nice deep breath. Letting your lower body settle into that earth plane and the frequency of earth. Letting your spine rise up from that support so that the crown reaches up to the sky. To that sky energy. Just taking a moment to notice the thoughts. Notice the sensations in the body. And then bring your hands slowly to heart center, palms to press. Taking an inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. And we'll close our practice with one Om. Taking an inhale to begin. That was so good. Let's do two more. Just pause for a moment, feeling that vibration, that frequency throughout your body, perhaps even in the air around you. And then with eyes cast to the earth, gently let your eyes flutter open. And then bring your awareness back into the space around you. And those of you in it, namaste, 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 namaste.